What's up, guys? Thanks for checking out the video today. So today we've got a little bit of a gear change here going on. We have the TME drag project behind me, and we have another Evo 6 that's come in yesterday. And also, if we walk around my lot here, I have an Evo 4 time attack car that needs to be converted back to a street car, and then I have a Evo 6 that needs the engine bay painted and a bunch of wiring done. So what I'm basically getting at is that I've got a lot of work to do for the next couple months. So unfortunately I wasn't able to make it to the shootout this year. That's going to be probably a next year thing at this point, but at the moment I need to sort of switch gears and get through 3 cars that I've been sort of neglecting. They've been sitting here. The owners don't really care that they've been sitting. However, I have been spending a ton of time on the drag car, and I need to allocate some time to other cars that are moving through here. So over the next couple weeks here, I'm going to be working on this Evo 6, and there's going to be a bunch of issues that I'm going to work out. One of them being a leaking fuel neck filler. So the tube that goes to the gas tank is leaking. So I'm going to video that for you guys, and part of that is going to be dropping all the suspension, the gas tank, and diagnosing a leaky filler neck. These cars are getting old. Those necks do rust out, and so we're going to be installing a new one. You guys can see how involved it is to do that, switch that part out, because unfortunately when Mitsubishi manufactured these cars, it's one of the first things that they put into the bare chassis, which would be the gas tank and then likely the filler neck, and so everything goes on top of that. So you can imagine how involved that is. Alright guys, so what we're going to be going over is sort of a step-by-step of how to do the filler neck. So the filler necks on these cars do rust out, unfortunately, and it is due to a few design flaws, and other than the design flaws, it's just that these cars are old and the filler neck is somewhat exposed to the elements. So taking a look at this Evo 6 here, it is very clean. Now, if we take a look in the fuel filler door here, we can see that there is some corrosion happening. So even coming up just underneath the lip of the filler tube, there is some rust right there, and in the pocket of the quarter here, where the filler tube is fastened in with 2 screw head bolts here, there is some issues. So we're going to have to correct that when the filler tube comes out. Alright guys, so moving to the underside of the car, now we're going to be under the rear bumper, and what we have here, we have the AYC pump that's here. Now if you can find the AYC pump, you can find the filler tube. It is right next to it here. Now the filler tube is covered by a guard. The guard's right here. And what generally happens with this sort of situation is that this guard collects a bunch of road debris. As soon as it fills up with road debris like sand and dirt, now it becomes just a giant sponge for that tube to sit in. And that's what causes a lot of the rust. So you can see in here it looks crusty. So kind of the first step to get to the filler neck would be to remove this guard and take a look at the neck. Now you can see where the neck runs, it runs under the suspension, and so this is the reason that this entire suspension assembly has to be dropped to be able to get this filler neck replaced. All right, wheels and exhaust off. That's necessary to get the filler neck out. Alright guys, we're continuing on changing the filler neck on this Evo 6 here behind me. And we're really getting deep into the undercarriage here and removing some parts. So let's take a look at where we're at. Alright, so the car is up in the air. And at this point, let's take a look at what else we've removed. So we've got the rear brakes. They're going to have to dangle. So I just strapped the calipers with some baling wire up to where the coilovers would go. That's the easiest way to do it, and we can see the filler neck right there and the wheel well. And so the other things that we've taken off, we've got the axles here. Those are out. Coilovers, those are out. We have to unbolt the drive shaft. Those are the fasteners right there. And what we're in the process of doing right now is lowering the diff down. So let's take a look at some of the hoses and the attachments that need to be moved around to drop the diff. Okay, so we're underneath the car. Now let's take a look at a bit of the layout here, the lay of the land, so that you guys can understand where everything is at. So this is going to be the pump. The pump is underneath the driver's side rear quarter panel. These are the hard lines that go to the diff. So what happens is they go up in between here. They turn into soft rubber going past where the filler neck is, and they eventually end up going into the back of the AYC diff, which is right here. Okay, so what I've done here to maintain some of the fluid in the reservoir in the trunk is I've capped these two lines with just rubber vacuum caps. Probably that's the best way to do it. If your fluid isn't very dirty, you can always change the fluid in the diff, and then during the bleeding process you can purge a lot of the fluid that's in the reservoir. But instead of fighting with a bunch of air in the system, you may want to cap these lines. That will preserve some of the fluid that's in the pump over here and the reservoir in the trunk. It'll make bleeding it a lot easier. So as I said earlier, this metal protector, protecting sort of cover that's on the filler neck is the culprit for much of the rust. We're going to eventually have to remove that. You're probably going to have some trouble with these fasteners. They may break. You might have to drill them out. That's just how it is, because this spot right here is where a lot of rust accumulates, because again, it's a little tiny bucket filled with debris that ends up keeping moisture in there. Okay, so coming over here to the rear subframe, you can see that I've dropped the subframe down a couple inches. Now at this point, you could conceivably wrestle with this filler neck and maybe get it out. I say maybe because there's not a lot of room here. What I traditionally do is I just drop the whole subframe in the diff. That's the easier way to do it, rather than fighting with everything. It's just better to drop everything and just get everything out of the way, so you're not fighting with the filler neck and denting it and bumping into things. It's just, yeah. Conceivably, you could get it out at this point, sort of tilting the subframe and wiggling it out, but to me it's not worth it. So at this point, guys, we're going to continue on dropping the diff, and we're going to get it completely out of the way so that we can get to the filler neck, get to those fasteners, get to that protective cover and remove things and start cleaning and make sure that we can get the filler neck out without breaking a bunch of fasteners. So let's pull that diff and subframe out completely, and then that way it'll free up some room so that we can get to that filler neck. All right guys, so we have the rear assembly out of the car here, the diff, subframe, all that stuff. Dropped it out, threw it on a cart. I'm gonna have to clean all this. It probably hasn't been out of the car ever. It's just dirty and filthy and covered in oil, but we'll take care of that. And I tried to take off the cover for the filler neck. Both bolts broke off, so there and there, that one. And so honestly, you guys should expect that. I'll just drill those out. Not a big deal. That's how this goes. So let's take a look, and this cover here, you guys are gonna love this. Yeah, so you wonder why these filler necks rust out, eh? Well, that was pretty packed with debris. So it occurred to me, actually, once I pulled that cover off and was dealing with all that debris that would have rotted out the filler neck for sure, that, you know, those covers aren't all that difficult to get to with the car up in the air or on a jack. And so it might be a good idea to pull the cover that's on your filler neck. Keeping in mind that those bolts, there's 3 fasteners, they might break, or maybe even getting, I'm just thinking out loud here, maybe getting air from a compressor and trying to blow out some of that debris, which you'd have to like basically wear a mask to make sure that you don't get blinded by all the dirt that's going to come flying out of there. However, it would be an idea to clean that out just to increase the longevity of your filler neck. Keeping in mind that right now Mitsubishi does have those filler necks. They are available in Japan. However, they are like anywhere from, well, if you buy from a reseller, anywhere from $400 to $600 to $700, somewhere in there. You got to account shipping, taxes, duty, all of that sort of stuff, the wait time. And, you know, so the filler necks are able to be bought, but the amount of time that it takes to replace a filler neck is up there. And as you pull all the things apart that you need to get to that filler neck, you have a chance of breaking other components, other bolts, having to replace other things that if they weren't disturbed might go a little bit longer. So just some food for thought. You might want to try and clean out that cover that is over top of that filler neck. Just an idea. All right, after you unclamp those 2 hoses, pull them out of the way, you have 2 fasteners at the top of the filler neck. Okay, that's just a screwdriver. Make sure that you get behind there, maybe squirt some WD-40 on the back of the fasteners. They can be accessed from the wheel well. You don't want to break these off. They're very hard to drill out if they do break off because of the location. Obviously, it's recessed. Okay, and then I would probably throw a small bungee cord around the filler neck so it doesn't just fall to the ground. Pull these guys out and you'll be able to pull the entire filler neck out. All right, so we have those fasteners out. Let's go underneath the car here and take a look here at the soft hoses from the gas tank, just roll up some towels, stick them in the end there. That way you'll cut down on the fumes coming out of the tank. Got the filler neck here, and like I said earlier, I threw a little bungee cord on just to make sure that it doesn't fall right off. So I'll pop that off. All right, it falls right out. There we are, and new one can go right back in from this point. So since you have all of this space now, probably the best bet would be to do a bit of cleaning under here, maybe some rust repair, whatever you have to do, and then go backwards and you'll be good. So a quick tip would be though that keep in mind that these suspension arms right here are put in before the filler neck. So this one bolt here will not be able to be put back in or taken out with the filler neck installed, and that's that upper arm. Okay, so make sure that if you're doing anything with the suspension, especially the upper arms, keep in mind the filler neck is going to block getting this bolt out, because it's going to back out that way directly into the filler neck. So anything you have to do with this upper suspension arm, do it now, put this back in, and then throw the filler neck in. Okay, there's the part number for you guys. All right guys, thanks for checking out the video today. So this was a video on how to pull the filler neck out of the Evo 456. It's extremely time intensive, and yeah, it is what it is. So if you do have time to maybe do some sort of preemptive maintenance on your car so that you don't necessarily need a new filler neck, maybe get in there and clean out that guard that I showed you earlier in the video. But other than that, if the filler neck is already rusted and soft, then this is what you're gonna have to do to get that thing out. So thanks for checking out the video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell to make sure that you receive notification when I put up new videos. And as well, come visit me on Instagram at Wrench Rampage. Have a good night.